Hey everyone, welcome back to Let's Talk. I am your host, John, and today we're going to actually have some fun on the channel. We're going to be talking about my top 10 favorite pieces in my entire movie collection. And this video is actually inspired by Frank from Frank's Media and Reviews, who did a similar video like this on his channel last week. I thought it was a phenomenal idea. He got the idea from the Movie Den and Bearded Film Guy, and I just thought that this is a great idea. How did I never think of something like this? I've done the top 10 best 4K Blu-rays that you must own if you're a physical media collector and stuff like that, but I never kind of looked inwards at what my favorite pieces are in my entire collection and the ones that mean something to me. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to be counting down the top 10 pieces of physical media that are in my collection. So this is a very personal list, very opinionated. I'll give all the reasons why these are my personal favorites in this list. So it's definitely a different kind of list that we do here on the channel, but I thought it'd be a lot of fun to do, especially since it's April, and at the beginning of April, it's kind of a little bit slow in new 4K Blu-ray releases. We really start to pick it up at the end of April. That's when the wallet is going to be depleted, but hey, let's have some fun and let's just dive right into it. At number 10, I got Malcolm X. This 4K Blu-ray came out from the Criterion Collection at the end of 2022, I believe the same day that Wall-E came out on 4K Blu-ray. And I was so excited for this to be coming to 4K Blu-ray. Malcolm X is my favorite biographical film of all time. It's a Spike Lee joint. I think it's the best film he ever directed, the best film that Denzel Washington ever acted in, should have won an Academy Award. And when this got the 4K Blu-ray treatment, only 1 year after Criterion started making 4K Blu-rays, they were like the last to get on board with it. They didn't think that the technology was worth the price. But finally, in November of 2021, they joined the market. And then a year later, we ended up with this on 4K Blu-ray, one of the best 4K Blu-rays that Criterion has ever put out. And as a fan of this movie, it's really all I could have ever asked for. We get a great digibook. You know, the digibook gets a little bit worn out over time, but this one's pretty old now, and it's still in great condition, great reading material, great disc design. It's just everything I had hoped for a release for Malcolm X. And when one of your favorite movies gets a release like this, you cherish it. And I was so thankful that we got this on 4K Blu-ray. It's not a cheap released 4K Blu-ray or anything like that. Extremely high quality. It's a movie I run back to each and every single year. It's one of the best made films of all time. And Criterion knocked it out of the park with that 4K Blu-ray. And as a fan, it's one of my favorites. And now here's a movie I know not everybody loves, but it's my favorite in the Halloween franchise. And that is Halloween 3: Season of the Witch. Back in the day, John Carpenter and Deborah Hill had bigger ideas for the Halloween franchise, bigger than Michael Myers. So after Halloween 1 and 2, they closed the door on Michael Myers. That was it. They're going to set out on their plan of releasing a bunch of different Halloween-themed films like every single year. And Halloween 3 was going to be the first of those. After we got done with Michael Myers, let's explore a new subject. We're going to explore the Season of the Witch, those silver shamrock Halloween masks. And for me, this movie is great. I love this movie. I watch it every single Halloween. It really explores the holiday of Halloween. It's also kind of a backdoor St. Patrick's Day movie. It's just entertaining as hell. It's very well made. And then Scream Factory a few years ago, over the course of 2 years, put all of the Halloween films up to Rob Zombie's Halloween. So those two movies didn't get the same treatment as the original run of Halloween movies, but they split it up over 2 years. The first year, though, they did individual releases for Halloween 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And for me, Halloween 3 got this beautiful hard box. I mean, I wish that Scream Factory would bring these hard boxes back. We never really get them anymore, but they did a phenomenal job here. This is also reversible art, so you could end up with this art, but I went with the original movie poster that I remember from the VHS back in the day. That's the first time I ever saw Halloween 3. I was disappointed like everybody else. I went in the Blockbuster, saw Halloween 1 and 2, wanted to see Halloween 3. Didn't know where Michael Myers was, didn't like the movie at the time, but when I revisited the film years later, knowing what the movie was, I truly appreciated it, and that's why it's my favorite Halloween film in the franchise. And Scream Factory just hit a grand slam with this 4K Blu-ray release. I love the unique artwork that they gave for all of them, but this one stands out because it's the one without Michael Myers, so the artwork is great, and it's a phenomenal 4K Blu-ray disc. The first year run of those Halloween movies definitely got better treatment than the next year, which is a shame because those movies are beloved by some people as well. Not me personally. I don't have any of those movies on 4K Blu-ray. I do want to grab H2O eventually, which has 2 4K Blu-ray releases, but for me, Season of Witch is a must-own and is my favorite of all those Halloween releases. And this one, it's not a perfect release, but The Terminator is my favorite movie of all time, and for a long time, for years, I had talked about wanting The Terminator on 4K Blu-ray. And then last year, November of 2024, all of my dreams finally came true. I saw the light. That's it. We are going to be getting Arnold Schwarzenegger, the T-800 Cyberdyne Systems Model 101 on 4K Blu-ray. I was worried though, like everybody else was worried, because in 2024, the same year, we got James Cameron's other movies on 4K Blu-ray in True Lies, The Abyss, and Aliens to mixed results. I thought The Abyss was a great 4K Blu-ray. Some people liked Aliens. I still think the Blu-ray is a little bit better than the 4K Blu-ray in my opinion. And then True Lies, I was happy to have it on 4K Blu-ray because the last time I got a physical release was on DVD. But yeah, it's not the greatest 4K Blu-ray. So, we were really worried. This one was coming from Warner Brothers. I think it was the same team that worked on those other 4K Blu-ray releases, but this is James Cameron's masterpiece, in my opinion, my favorite film of all time. So worried about it. Thankfully, it is a great 4K Blu-ray overall. I'm not in love with the Steelbook design. It doesn't scream Terminator to me, but hey, I'm happy we got it. I think that the standard edition was fine as well. That's all I can really say, is that, as far as packaging goes, it was fine. It's a one-disc set. I would have loved Arrow Video to put this out and really give it the bells and whistles I think the Terminator deserves, but I understand that the Terminator, it's nothing compared to Terminator 2 as far as fanfare goes. But I was happy we got this, and what they really did that helps this stand out, besides the visuals being really, really good, they gave us 2 audio tracks, a brand new Dolby Atmos track, which is very well mixed, and the original audio with the original sound effects that was released in theaters in 1984, so I was blown away. I was switching between the audio tracks. I had to watch the 4K Blu-ray twice when I first saw it, and now I've actually seen it about 4 times already. It only came out in November. Just absolutely love it, mainly because it's my favorite film of all time, and I'm just happy that I at least got a really good treatment, so even though this 4K Blu-ray isn't perfect, I still have to include it on the list because it means a lot to me. And next up, another movie that means a lot to me is 1991's Point Break, released 1 week after Terminator 2, which is always funny to me because Catherine Bigelow and James Cameron were married at the time. So T2 came out the very next week that summer. Point Break came out. And you can actually see James Cameron's name in the credits for this movie. But Point Break was one of those movies that had not a great Blu-ray, and then it got announced for a Shout Factory 4K Blu-ray release with this amazing steelbook, my favorite steelbook of all time, getting the bells and whistles, and it's a huge improvement over that previously released Blu-ray. This is a movie I like to watch every single summer. The 4K actually came out in December, if I'm correct, which, not a very big Christmas movie. It's definitely more of that summer tone. I mean, it's a movie about surfing and funding your endless summer journey. That's what Bodhi wants to do in The Boys. But of course, Keanu Reeves has to take him down. Johnny Utah, one of Keanu Reeves' best performances, is in this movie. Just one of those movies I have to watch every single year. Love this movie. One of my favorite action films of all time. The Ex-Presidents are some of the great movie bank robbers of all time, and I just love this movie. The remake is terrible, but the original's the original. It's a classic. Everyone knew it was good because the Fast and Furious even decided to rip it off in 2001. But this 4K Blu-ray, it always catches my eye on the shelf, even if it's not turned out. It's one that I absolutely love. And next up on my list, and this might seem a little bit high, like why do I have RoboCop so high on this list? Another one of my favorite films of all time is RoboCop, and this has always been the example of when one of my favorite films gets the full treatment, this is what I want them to do. I want them to give us this exact treatment, because Arrow Video had already put out a good release for RoboCop. I'm looking at it right now, I actually have the Steelbook Blu-ray release, which they also did the Steelbook release for this as well, but I had to get the old Arrow Video fat box with all of the bells and whistles, the OCP logo on the back. It's got a poster in there, the great Arrow Video paper stock that they used. They really went all out for this, and I want all my favorite films to get the same treatment. The 4K Blu-ray is great as well. I mean, I just remember sitting there in awe while watching this movie, because the first time I had ever seen RoboCop was actually on cable, and probably the worst way to ever see RoboCop, then eventually on VHS. So I've just kind of seen this movie because I watch it so often. It's another one of those movies that I feel like is endlessly rewatchable. The satire of it all, it just flies by. Incredibly entertaining while also having a message in there. Paul Verhoeven's masterpiece, in my opinion, and I just really, truly love the movie, and to see Arrow Video just go all out for this, I mean, I still pull it off my shelf and get blown away by the artwork and everything that happens in it. Yeah, I know this is alternate artwork, but I still think it really works very, very well. It really showed to me, especially at the time in 2022, that Arrow Video was a studio that was there to be reckoned with, and this is one of their greatest releases still, all of these years later. And another one, I think this one just outshines RoboCop a little bit, but I've talked about it a bunch, because True Romance, another one of my all-time favorite films. This past week, we actually talked about all of Tony Scott's films. I ranked them live from worst to first. You guys can actually check out that replay if you would like. I recommend it. I thought it was a really fun video. We had a great time. But True Romance was number one, my favorite Tony Scott film of all time. The thing about Tony Scott is he's got a lot of style. I think this actual fat box. There was 2 fat boxes that Arrow Video put out, by the way. One with the standard edition and one that has this beautiful steelbook in it. I mean, if you're a physical media collector, you get better than that. You get a steelbook inside the Arrow Video fat box, which I don't think they have done since this, because you get everything like we just talked about. You get the poster, you get the reading material, the great artwork on the front. I love this. Tony Scott's known for that beautiful magic hour shots, the sun setting, the purples and orange, and we nailed that right in here. You're So Cool, which is the title track as well of the the soundtrack. One of my favorite scores of all time comes from this movie. Soundtrack's great, score is great, but the score, You're So Cool, is the track title, which is totally 100% a ripoff of Badlands score, but still it works in no matter which film, whichever route you want to go. So of course I love True Romance. The Blu-ray was like expensive for a very long time, came in a double pack, just really got horrible physical media treatment. Then seriously, Arrow Video just came out, and just I couldn't believe it when this one was announced. I'm like, people love True Romance like that? I just always have cherished this movie, and I didn't think many people cared as much. It's kind of just felt like, yeah, Quentin Tarantino did the script on it. I feel like that always kind of came up in conversation, but I didn't realize that people cared about True Romance as much as I did. So I was so happy when this got announced. I still run back to it. It's a phenomenal transfer. Again, all the bells and whistles that you would expect from Arrow Video. This is what all of your favorite films should get treated like. They should be treated like with ultimate care. But again, not every film is treated the same. But I was really blown away that True Romance got this treatment. And then at number 4, and this is actually funny, the guy who inspired this list, Frank from Frank's Medium Reviews, he actually made sure to look out for this when it got re-released. He had one during the original run, I believe, but this is one of the greatest physical releases I have ever seen. It's for a movie that might not be the most loved. The Frighteners, which was directed by Peter Jackson, that came out in 1996. I just remember as a kid the VHS selling me on the film, which is actually this exact VHS artwork, because you could buy this in 2 different types of artwork, but I chose this one because it's the same color, same exact font, same look of that VHS, but now it's a beautiful 6-disc set. I mean, this thing is heavy. I would open it up, but there's just so much inside of it. I think I bought it for like $80 at the time, which is very expensive for one film, but I always loved The Frighteners. I know people, like, when they think of Peter Jackson, they might think of like Dead Alive first, as far as like his 80s and 90s run before we get to The Lord of the Rings, but I always enjoyed the horror comedy, even like the CGI of the time, which works so well in my opinion for this movie. It's a great fun ghost movie, one that you should watch every single spooky season. So I always enjoyed the movie, had the Blu-ray, and then this 4K Blu-ray also includes an incredible making of documentary. I think it's about 4 or 6 hours long. Just a ridiculous amount of time that I sat there and watched in one sitting, because I love a good making of documentary, and you include that in here with a great 4K Blu-ray disc and everything else that's included. It's unbelievable. It's one of the greatest releases of all time. I mean, like, it's hard not to put this at number 1, because this is exactly what you want from a physical media release, and Turbine just went all out. And if you were worried about, it being a German company, not being able to read anything in English, you seriously have nothing to worry about. If this ever comes back in the stock, I know that there was a more limited release of this, I think with a steelbook, but as long as it includes all 6 discs like this, it's an ultimate release that I highly recommend. And then next up, I got Columbia Classics Volume 1. Now, I have all 5 of these, and all 5 have the same packaging, beautiful packaging. But the original one has the best set of films, in my opinion. You get Dr. Strangelove, Gandhi, Lawrence of Arabia, movies that I absolutely love from the 90s, and A League of Their Own, and Jerry Maguire. So it was just an ultimate release, and Columbia Classics concentrated, and this is Sony, so you know that these 4K discs are beautiful and they still hold up very well. But like, these got these magnets, so everything closes nice and neat. 6 discs with its own individual slip covers over it. Extras for days. They gave you everything in here. So if you were a fan of any of these movies, this was the ultimate way to go. When this was first announced, I was like, yeah, I'm getting that. It was one of the first things I pre-ordered. It was a little bit expensive, but I justified it in the sense that it was a bunch of movies that I felt like would look great on 4K Blu-ray, like Lawrence of Arabia and Gandhi, and sure enough, they are beautiful looking 4K Blu-rays. The packaging is great. I love that I have all 5 of them lined up on my top shelf. Not every film and all 36 films from the Columbia Classics collections I've loved, but every single one of those have been phenomenal transfers. And even in there, I actually don't have the original A League of Their Own. I actually swapped it out for the Dolby Vision version, which I do think is slight better, but with that slip cover over it, just because I love the Columbia Classic collections, and I still think Volume 1 is the best that they have put out, and it's one of my favorite pieces in the collection. And at number 2, I'm sure you've heard me and many other physical media collectors brag about this one for a very long time, but I still think it's incredibly special, and that's the Friday the 13th box set from Scream Factory that came out a few years ago. And the reason why this is so special is because it gives us all 12 of the original Friday the 13th on Blu-ray in one big packaging. And the reason why that's so special is Paramount did the first 8 films, and then the following 4 films were done by New Line Cinema, who are now, I'm pretty sure, owned by Warner Brothers, I think. I don't know where exactly the rights to these ended up, because lately those films have been being released on 4K Blu-ray from Arrow Video. So Arrow Video has the rights to those New Line films. I'm guessing Scream Factory still has the right. Actually, probably Paramount, because they've been releasing like 1, 2, and 3 on 4K Blu-ray each and every year. This year should be 3, I assume, since 1 and 2 already came to 4K Blu-ray. So you got them kind of moving in on the left, while you got Arrow Video kind of going on the right, kind of giving us the 4K Blu-rays. But on Blu-ray, you get the entire 12-film collection. There had been previously released a 12-film collection that came in a metal tin that was going for buku's money at the time, which was ridiculous. People were overcharging on eBay, as they do. So this came out and put all that to rest, and especially since they gave us this beautiful packaging each film. A lot of them got new scans as well, so I appreciated that. And all of the discs work just fine, loaded with extras. It's just the ultimate collection if you're a Friday the 13th fan. I'm a huge Friday the 13th fan. You know, none of those movies are cinematic masterpieces, but they're all entertaining as hell. Doesn't matter which one you pull out, you're going to have a great time. And to have them all in one beautiful collection, it is still one of my favorite pieces in the collection. And then at number 1, it's the same one that was number 1 on my 4K Blu-ray must-own list, and that is Roadhouse. I really think that this is the crowning achievement for 4K Blu-ray and for physical media and in general. I mean, Vinegar Syndrome hit an absolute grand slam with this one. You know, cleared the bases, just to hit the mountaintop. There's nothing else you could really do, in my opinion. And for me, what makes this actually just slightly disappointing is I feel like Vinegar Syndrome never got back to this level of quality. Yes, the quality of their discs are really good, but you know, you get the beautiful packaging, which they've released as packaging for other films as well, but the quality of being Roadhouse. Roadhouse is one of the most popular films of the 1980s, one of my favorite films of the 1980s. It's endlessly rewatchable. They loaded this up with extras on almost every single disc. Numerous commentary tracks, including one from Kevin Smith as an extras junkie. I mean, I had extras for days. There's just hours and hours and hours to sink your teeth into, and if you love this movie, they're all worth it. You come inside, I mean, there is a slipcover over just a regular 4K Blu-ray in there, plenty of reading material, the great packaging. Supposedly, Arrow Video is going to be releasing their own version of this at some point this year. I imagine, though, it'll probably have some of their own exclusives, but they're probably not going to end up with all the exclusive stuff that Vinegar Syndrome put out on this. And the packaging, if Arrow Video can match the packaging, which if any company can, it is Arrow Video. You know, I might think about double dipping, but probably not, because this is already one of the best 4K Blu-ray transfers that you'll ever see. The Double Deuce and Dalton have just never looked so good than they do in 4K Blu-ray right here. So this is my number 1. It is my favorite. It's one I can recommend to anybody. If you can get your hands on this exact 4K Blu-ray release, even if you just get the standard release with just, you know, the slipcover over it, that's fine as well, just because it's something I feel like you should have in the collection. But this is the reason why I collect it, for ultimate releases like this. Every year I have to pull this off my shelf and just admire the work that was put into it, and maybe one day we'll get another release that can add up to Roadhouse. But anyway, guys, just remember that's just my personal opinion. You know, if you disagree with me, I can appreciate that. Let me know what your favorite pieces in your physical media collection are in the comment section below. Hey everyone, just wanted to pop in at the end of the video for this week's digital code giveaway. In every single video that we do on Friday, I ask you guys 2 digital code giveaway questions. All you have to do is answer one of those questions in the comment section below. As long as you do that, you come back to Tuesday's video where I'll put your name on a magic wheel. We'll spin that bad boy 2 times, and the 2 names it lands on, they have their choice. The digital codes that you've seen on your screen before you today. And, you know, unfortunately, at the time that I'm recording this video, the legendary great actor Val Kilmer has just passed away. And I figured in honor of Val Kilmer, I'd ask you guys, what is your favorite Val Kilmer performance? And also, what is your favorite Batman film of all time? Val Kilmer was the first ever Batman I ever saw. I was born in 1992. Batman came out in 1995. Well, Batman Forever, that is. And it was the first one I ever got on VHS. I loved the movie. I still don't think Val Kilmer is a very good Batman, but he is still one of the most prolific Batmans of all time, one of the most prolific actors of all time, between Top Gun, Tombstone. And then, of course, I absolutely love Heat, given that's a very big ensemble cast, but his character is still one of the best in the films. And he was just one of those great actors who clearly just loved being an actor. So rest in peace, Val Kilmer. And you guys answer those questions in the comment section. Then don't forget to come back to Tuesday's video. And if you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this video if you could. We also have channel memberships, guys. So if you want to become a friend of the channel, a producer for the channel like John Doe Juggalo, or even a channel director like Uncle V, Nicholas Head, and Kevin Kruger, you could do that, or even become a channel bankroll member like Mr. Smelly Potato and Frank from Frank's Media and Reviews. But guys, as always, if you got no money to throw away, don't worry about it. We just hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, get out in those streets, tell your friends about us, and then we'll be seeing you around.